Good morning. Welcome to A Country Life. I'm Jennifer. Hello to anybody who is new here, and welcome back to my faithful and so very loving and friendly and loyal subscribers. Here we go. It is the opening day of gun deer season, and it's like a holiday around here, let me tell you. Just lots and lots of excitement. But this is the day that I typically start to plan ahead for Thanksgiving. So it's Saturday. Thanksgiving is going to be on this coming Thursday, and I just thought I would do a little bit of filming here over the course of like today, making out kind of my plan and showing you just an easy way to prep for Thanksgiving. So let's just talk about Thanksgiving for just a quick second here. Nowhere in the definition of Thanksgiving will you find the word impress. Thanksgiving is really all about taking a couple steps back, slowing down for a moment or two, taking a look at your life, and then just recognizing all that you have to be thankful for. And I know that sometimes that can be kind of hard because this is like the beginning of the hustle and bustle season. And then on top of that, there's just kind of like this feeling, I think, for a lot of women, mothers, people that will be having Thanksgiving at their house or taking food to a relative's house or something like that. It just seems like we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to try to have the very, very best food, which of course we want the best food, but we put, I think, undue pressure on ourselves to try to make it be something even bigger than it really needs to be. So let's just get rid of that word impress right now. I mean, honestly, look at me. All I have on my face right now is cranberry oil. I haven't even combed through my hair, and here I am on YouTube. For the world to see. So we're just going to ignore the word impress right now. Got toothpaste on my towel behind me. I'm filming in my bathroom. Okay, so with that being said, and of course, guess what's going to happen right now? My battery, it's going to die. So I'm going to have to hold my thoughts here, go and switch out to a new battery, and I will be back. So now that we have that established that we are not going to try to impress anybody, let's just look at what the very first thing is that I think is probably the most important part of making sure that Thanksgiving dinner is actually going to happen, and that is having a plan. So what I like to do is just get out one of my favorite notebooks and, you know, just kind of start coming up with the different categories that I'm going to have. So obviously I need to have a list of people, how many people that we're going to be having. I need to have a list of food. So I like to have a list of the main meal, some appetizers, desserts, and if we're going to try to do anything a little bit fancier for drinks. This year, I actually have on my plan table decor. My baby is 6 years old, and I'm at that point where I can actually put a little bit of effort into making a pretty table. And my baby, she can help me make that pretty table. And it's the very, very first time I've done anything like that where I've actually planned ahead. And like I said, don't stress yourself out, but hear me out. If you are still in that stage of babies and toddlers and things are just like wildly crazy at your house and you find yourself oftentimes stuck on a couch nursing a baby or something like that, just cross this right off. You don't even want to worry about it. You know what? Nobody ever had a bad Thanksgiving because they ate on paper plates. That is for sure. And we're still going to use paper plates for dessert this year. So there's definitely no shame in that. Another part of my list that's important to us is games, entertainment. Now, a lot of times conversation just kind of keeps the day going, especially if you have a lot of guests and family you have not seen in a while. But we're going to have a very simple Thanksgiving this year. And so I think that we're going to want to have a few things to just kind of like keep it feeling special and not just another day that mom cooks and then tries to get everybody rounded up around the table and then we eat and then we clean up, okay? So I did write down a catchphrase as a possible option. That's just a fun electronic game. I can link it in the description. We've been playing that for years and years. And 10,000 is a dice game. Another really fun thing to do is to have a Connect 4 tournament. Connect 4 is something that even the littlest can at least participate in. I'm also adding on my list cleaning and dishes because I want to make sure that my kids have an understanding that they are going to participate in this day, whether it is helping me with the prep work here that's going to be coming or actually on the day of Thanksgiving. And so if I just let them know in advance, hey, you're going to be on helping with clearing the table, or you're going to be on loading the dishwasher, or washing the extra dishes that don't fit, whatever it might be, just having them be aware is, I think, very, very important. That is the very first step in planning out Thanksgiving. So you guys just saw that I made up my overall plan for getting ready for Thanksgiving. Now the next step for me anyway is I like to break it down day by day. Now I've had years where I've kind of started planning 2 weeks in advance, or I've started 3 days in advance. Wherever you're jumping in, that's where you want to start. Okay, obviously, right? What I did is I have today and Sunday and Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, and happy Thanksgiving. So I just looked at everything on my list. This is just food-wise, because I did already get my table decorations set up, and the games are basically already ready to go. Okay, so for today, I'm going to make cranberry sauce. I'm also going to make my pie crusts. Tomorrow is going to be my day to hunt, and then we'll be going to church late, so I didn't schedule anything for Sunday. Monday, I'm going to make cranberry simple syrup. I'm also going to make the meatballs. I'm going to slice the pickles and put them back into the jar. Tuesday, I'm going to do my mashed potatoes. That is actually called mashed potato casserole. It has cream cheese and lots of butter and cream, and they're just a really, really nice way to make mashed potatoes ahead of time, and they're so, so good. I'm also going to slice the cheese and sausage and then wrap that up really, really tightly. Wednesday, it'll be time to make the pies. I'll get those going right away in the morning. Also make the stuffing, and then I will assemble the cranberry cider that will be in the crock pot on Thanksgiving Day, just warming and giving the house such a nice yummy, yummy smell. On Happy Thanksgiving Day, then it's going to be time to roast the turkey right away in the AM. Then I'll let that rest for about 20 to 30 minutes before slicing. I'll probably ask Warren to slice when he comes in from hunting at some point, and just keep the turkey warm in a crock pot. And I am going to be picking up some turkey broth to pour over that to keep it really, really moist. I'll be making pan gravy that day. Assembling, I have to check on something. I'm also making some hunting food here. So my meat seemed like it was sizzling a little bit, so I had to check on that. I will also assemble the coleslaw on that day, and we're going to make some rolls. This is the only brand new recipe that I'm going to make for Thanksgiving. That is my cranberry sauce beeping in the background. So I did find a recipe that I'm going to try. I might actually, if I really, really have time, I might try to make those up on Monday and then remake them again for Thanksgiving Day. In the morning right away, I want to make sure that I get the cranberry cider mulling in the crock pot, and then also get the meatballs in the crock pot, and those are also cranberry meatballs. From my perspective, this looks pretty simple. These are all foods that I've made over and over and over again, except for the rolls. So I do like to keep it very, very basic. I am making up a double batch of cranberry sauce. This is 8 cups of cranberries. I have 4 cups water, 4 cups sugar that's boiled for 5 minutes. I'm now going to pour in my cranberries, and I'm going to let that cook slowly. I'm going to turn that down to a number 2 for a little bit, and I'm going to let that cook slow here for at least 15 minutes. I want it to start to thicken up and just look like it's going to gel nicely. So that is the plan. Amber and her friend just called and said they are ready to come in. They have 3 deer down, and so I'm going to go pick them up, and we'll be back. Before I leave, though, I did want to share with you guys, if you are looking for a fantastic way to keep Christ in Christmas, let me just share with you Lacey from Catholic Icing. She has had a blog for years and years, and I have followed along at that blog, doing activities and purchasing books based on her recommendations, and it's just been grand. And she came out with this new Jessie tree. So a Jessie tree is, I mean, if I understand it properly, it's basically salvation history. And so what she did is she came out with 25 video lessons, and I'll put a link in the description below, and you purchase it. I purchased it right away this weekend. It was $8. It might go up a little bit, you know, because it's, by the time you see this video, her kind of like introductory special will be gone. But anyway, she walks you through drawing all of these pictures, and so they are incredible. They have the 10 Commandments and Jacob's Ladder, and we have the creation of the world and Mount Calvary, and we have the promise of the rainbow with Noah's Ark and baby Jesus. Okay, so it just goes on, and they are awesome.
Day 14.
Are you loving this, Peter?
Yes. I love it.
You love it too, Maria?
Oh.
It is just,
Maria.
It's so thorough.
Okay.
Okay, that's enough. You guys go check it out. She has the baby Jesus lesson is for free on her YouTube channel.
No.
I gotta go get the girls. Pizza hot dish is ready to go into the crock pot. What you just need to do is just fry up some hamburger. I did 2 pounds of hamburger with an onion, got that all browned up nicely, and then add to it a jar or a can of spaghetti sauce, a teaspoon of oregano, a teaspoon of garlic powder, some salt. Normally, I tasted the spaghetti sauce and it was quite salty, so I did not add any additional salt, and then a little bit of black pepper, and that was everything. So I did that, boiled up some noodles just to al dente. Egg noodles works the best. And then I had 4 cups of shredded cheese, and it's actually a mix of cheddar, Monterey Jack, and mozzarella. You really, since it is pizza, you want to have the majority of it be mozzarella. That's what works the best. Oh, and I just had a bag of pepperoni. If you have a family that loves pepperoni, by all means use 2 packages. I only have a couple pepperoni lovers and some that are not real thrilled with it. So I only put in 1 package of pepperoni this time. I also put in a can of drained mushrooms. So normally we are not really mushroom lovers, but I know Warren likes mushrooms and Joseph doesn't mind them either. So I threw that into just because it is pizza. And I'm just going to put this in the crock pot now on low and let it go until supper. I'll probably turn it to warm at some point once everything looks melty, because everything's already cooked. And that is going to be one of our supper dishes. For many, many years now, Warren's cousin, my cousin, he has been bringing tater tot hot dish as well as a mastacholi salad for the you know, opening day of deer hunting meal. He's been doing that since he was a teenager, and it just keeps on going. And I don't even know how old he is these days, but it's been a long, long time. And so that's just a tradition. He's actually bumped it up now to bringing 2 casseroles because the group is growing, and, you know, everybody, our kids are older and bigger and eat more food and everything. So anyway, but this year I just thought, boy, the group could even be a little bigger, and so I was a little concerned that even 2 of those were going to be enough. So this time I'm also making a he's doing the tater tot casserole. I am making the pizza hot dish. I thought it would be a great way to just kind of add something to it. It's not hard to make, and it also reheats great for tomorrow or even Monday if, you know, if we don't eat it all today. So that's what's happening here. I do have to clean things up and then get going on pie crust. I make a recipe, a pie crust recipe that can be frozen. And I mean, as probably most pie crusts can, but this is specifically supposedly made for the freezer. It's a recipe that I got from my mother-in-law. I've seen it in a number of different cookbooks as well. It's out there, it's all over the place. And I know that so many of you were hoping that I would get this video up and out there before Thanksgiving, and I'm sorry it just didn't happen. You know, life just gets busy. So, but we're at it today. So I'm doubling up my recipe. This is going to make a whole lot of pie crusts. In here I have 6 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to add to that 2 teaspoons of baking powder and 2 teaspoons of salt. I'm going to just fork that around to combine that nicely. You do not have to make this much. You can start with like 3 cups of flour. You'll just do half of what I do here, and you will still get anywhere from 3 to 4 you know, pie crusts. In the bowl of my KitchenAid, I have 2 cups plus 1/4 of a cup of lard. Just get the best quality lard that you can. That is, I guess, my best advice for you when it comes to buying lard. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pour all of this in here. Actually, I'm only going to do half since I'm doubling it. And then we need to move over to the KitchenAid. I always forget to do this, but this does help quite a bit. Okay, so that's what it's looking like so far. It's just kind of cut into very, very large crumbs and even some larger chunks. Okay, so here's what it's looking like. It's nice and crumbly. I didn't overbeat it. You don't want to overbeat it because you don't want it to be tough, but you just want to dig down and make sure that it's all combined. Okay, that looks really, really good. At this point now, I need to put together the wet ingredients for the crust. And what I have in here, I let my water run for a little while, the cold water, so I got, you know, nice and, you know, kind of icy cold water. And this is 1/2 cup of water plus 2 tablespoons. Next, I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of just standard white vinegar. Oop, that was a little overflow, so this one will go a little easier on. And then 2 eggs.
Mom.
Yes. Now, just so that I don't use extra dishes, I'm just going to use that same fork that I already used and get this all whisked up. Just really want to combine that egg so there's no little egg. You know, you don't really want ribbons of yolk in your pie crust. I am working with very, very limited space here today. The dishes, all of the big dishes still need to get done, the ones that didn't fit in the dishwasher. And we have thermoses and crock pots, and it's just full. So forgive my what might appear to be messy to some people. Okay, so now what I have is I'm just going to drop this down, lock it, And I'm going to turn it on low, and I'm just going to slowly add in the liquid here. And I'm going to just kind of let that mix. Okay. That's as long as I wanted to let it mix, just a few seconds, literally. Whoops. It's hard to do this one-handed, and I don't have a real good tripod system right now. My tripod is currently, it currently has a crack in it, so it doesn't want to stay where it's supposed to be. So anyway, this is, you know, it's kind of sticky yet. That's okay. This dough is a little bit stickier of a dough, but I just think it just is such a delicious dough. Okay, so let me do a few things and then show you what's happening. I'm going to angle this right down so that you guys can see what I'm doing. I have this huge pile of dough, or you know, pie crust here, and I'm just going to kind of work it out just a little bit, just to kind of get it to hold together. I did flour my surface because, like I said, it is quite sticky. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is just form it into a shape here. So that I can cut this. So now I'm just going to cut my dough here. And this is about as much as you're going to need to make one crust in like a 9-inch pie plate. And so I'm just going to put those into little piles. And I'm trying to get them as even as possible. And if you make them a little too large, that's always okay, because you can always make like pie crust cookies out of the extras that hang over the edge. If you make it too small, then you're kind of out of luck. This one looks a little too big, I can just tell. You kind of start to get a feel for how it feels in your hand as to if that's going to be big enough for making a pie crust, and then actually kind of how much it weighs too. You can kind of get a feel that way. If you end up having to combine a couple pieces, you might have to squeeze it a little bit harder, because when it's coated in flour, it doesn't really want to stick together real well. But that's okay, just give it a few squeezes and it'll eventually combine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I made 10 crusts out of that double batch, and now I'm going to check to see if I can actually make a pumpkin pie, just to kind of finish off the whole process for you guys here today. All right, there I was able to dig out 1 thing of evaporated milk and 1 thing of pumpkin, so I can make 1 pumpkin pie today. That's not going to be nearly enough for everybody who loves pumpkin tonight, but you know what? Actually, I'm just really doing this to show you guys the whole process. So here we go. So what I'm going to do here is just saran wrap each one of these individually, and then put them into a gallon-sized Ziploc bag and put those in the freezer. I'm going to label it pie crust, and I'm also going to label it with a date, because I'd have to look up online to see what the recommended is for freezing lard and egg and stuff like that. But I'm thinking these should be good for at least 3 months in the freezer. When it is time to roll out the pie crust, the most important thing, in my opinion, is keeping it in a near perfect circle. So if the edges, let me show you. You also need a rolling pin that you love. That is also really important. Warren and Emily made this rolling pin for me years ago out of cherry wood. It's, I think, what they call like the French style or something. Love it so much. So, as you're rolling, see what's happening? This is getting higher, or it's lower, it's starting to crack. I'm gonna spin this and I'm gonna tap it back because I want to keep on making those edges whole. You know, I don't want them to have any cracks in them. And then as I roll, I'm just gonna keep on rolling. And I sort of think, okay, I wanna roll this way, that way, that way, that way. So I'm constantly keeping it as much in a circle as I can. Okay, I'm gonna flip this over now at this point. I'm gonna kind of run the flour around again. I have a couple little cracks starting, so we're gonna pat it back together. And I'm just gonna keep on rolling here, working in a circle, and when I see it starting to not be, it's getting a little oblong here. Okay, so I think that this is working out nicely. I do have a couple, whoops, I don't think the camera's capturing that. I have one little crack starting here and here, but I'm at the point now where it's ready to go into the pie plate, so we're not gonna worry about it. Now for a pumpkin pie, I like to use one of these deeper dish Pyrex pans, just because then I can fit all of the pumpkin filling into one shell. So now we're just gonna carefully fold this over in half, then fold it into fourths. We're gonna lift it up. This point is gonna go into the center of our pie plate. We are gonna unfold it, and then we're going to unfold it. And we're just gonna with a very, very gentle hand, very gentle hand, we're just going to kind of lift it and make sure that it drops down all into the edges of the, you know, all the way into the base of the pie plate. Since I don't have a ton of overhang, what I'm going to do is just fold this all under. Again, very, very gently, trying to make kind of a nice little soft edge here. And if you get to a spot where there isn't anything to fold over, just kind of tap it like this to give it just kind of a smooth edge. I think that just gives it kind of a finished edge without, you know, even when you don't have enough dough to make a real pretty fluted edge. Oh, now I just grabbed that same fork. This is what my grandma almost always did on pies. She would just take a fork and push it down all the way around the edge. It gives it a very simple yet finished edge. It's okay, don't worry about if it kind of looks like it's crumbling at this point. That's okay. That's what we're gonna do once we get all the way around. Pies are definitely something that you make with love. You've got to put a little love into them because, yeah, you just do. They take a little time. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around and just tap those edges again because I want them to be as even as possible. And that kind of just sets in all the little pieces that we're trying to kind of like fleck off. All right, there you have it. That is a finished pie crust. That is the easiest way to finish off the edge of your pie crust. There are so many more ways. I'm not going to be able to show that all to you right now today because I just wanted to show you the basics here. I know that later in this video, actually, I am going to be making a cranapple crunch pie, more pumpkin pies, and I will show you a few other edges there. But if you came to the video just to see the basic pie crust recipe, there you have it.
Small red sleeping bag and I mean the small red suitcase in my backpack,
So this is the end of my Saturday Thanksgiving prep. I have all of my crusts done. I have the cranberry sauce here. This is going to go into the refrigerator. Normally, if I made a really big batch of this, I would actually just hot water bath can this really quick so it would be shelf stable. But this is just, I mean, 3.5 jars, really. We're going to eat that up so fast. So I'm just going to put that in the fridge. And this can stay in the fridge for at least 3 weeks. I would say probably even a month or 5 weeks without any problems whatsoever. I mean, it's boiled sugar and water and cranberries, which are tart and everything, and so I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to grow in those. But we are going to keep those in the refrigerator. This is going to go in the freezer, and that is going to wrap up my Thanksgiving prep here on this Saturday. Hi there, it is now Monday, and like I said in my original plan, I was not doing any kind of prep on Sunday. The only thing that we did do on Sunday is change the whole plan. So instead of having Thanksgiving actually on Thanksgiving, we are going to be able to get more people here if we do Thanksgiving on Wednesday. So that's what we're going to do. So that does change up my plan a little bit. Not too bad, because since we'll have it a little earlier in the day, then I'm not going to be doing like those appetizers. So I'm actually working on that, and that is going to be tonight's supper. So referring back to my list here, I was going to be making meatballs today because on Thanksgiving the plan was to have meatballs in the crock pot for anyone who had gotten here earlier in the day and just kind of wanted to have sort of like something snacky for lunch, because we'd have Thanksgiving dinner a little bit later. But like I said, that's going to be changed up. So I'm actually making the meatballs here for tonight's supper. So these meatballs are really, really yummy, of course. I just started with 3 pieces of bread here. This I think is like oat bran or something. It really doesn't matter. You want a little lighter. You don't want something like 100% whole wheat. That adds a little too strong of a flavor, but white or oat bran, something lighter, works really, really well. And I have a half a cup of milk. No, do I have a whole cup? Yes, I have a whole cup of milk in here, and I'm just letting that soak for about 10 minutes. In the meantime, I diced up a very small onion, and I just went through with my chef knife here and just kind of kept on mincing and mincing, because I want it to be nice and small so we don't get big chunks. It just makes rolling a lot easier if you have little tiny bits of onion. Next up, I'm going to be putting in pepper and salt and parsley, and that is going to be it. I'm going to use a combination of ground beef and ground venison for this recipe today. My ground beef had a little bit of a frozen core, so I'm just going to break it apart here and then let it sit. It'll thaw easier that way, and I'm going to just move on with a couple other things here. As the ground beef continues to thaw just the last little bit, I'm just going to get the stuff ready in the crock pot here. So what I need here is a 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, and I need a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, and I need a tablespoon of brown sugar. Whoops, that's up there. And then I also need 1 jar of the chili sauce, and then also it says, you know, the recipe calls for 1 can of cranberry sauce, which I think is around 14 or 15 ounces, and so this is a half pint, and here we have I guess another half pint, so that's about 16 ounces or so. I'm just going to put all of that cranberry sauce in and whisk this all together, put the cover on it, and then just let it sit there until, you know, the meatballs are all done. And then I'll put it all into the crock pot together to simmer until supper time. Okay, I'm just putting in the meatballs here. Remember, this is a double batch, so that's, you know, kind of what a double batch looks like. And these are going in at 350 degrees for 1 full hour. Okay, so I did mark that off. We are going to end up having those meatballs for supper. I'm going to make some rice and slice up some oranges to go along with that. Now I'm going to, I do need to boil up some sugar water, and then I'm going to get that poured over some cranberries. So I saw this at the Kneady Homesteader's channel. What she did is took equal parts water and sugar, brought it to a good hard rolling boil. I wonder, I'd have to check if she let that boil for like 5 or 10 minutes or however. I'm gonna have to look up that part. But, shh, shh, shh. We got lots of Legos going on in the background. But then what I'll do is just pour those over cranberries, set them in a bowl off to the side, and just let that kind of like steep, basically, you know, like you would be making tea or something. I'm gonna let that steep overnight, and then tomorrow I will strain off the liquid, and that will be cranberry simple syrup. And then my plan is to buy some seltzer soda, just like the plain seltzer soda, mix in the cranberry simple syrup, and then maybe even just like garnish it with a few cranberries floating or something like that, or an orange slice off to the side. However, but just something that looks kind of pretty, and I thought that'd be kind of a fun addition to our Thanksgiving dinner. And then since we are bumping everything ahead here, I'm also going to go ahead right now and start working on peeling up the potatoes for the mashed potatoes. I did grab a stick of sausage out of the freezer. It's frozen, so I'll still have to slice that tomorrow. And then I don't even have the cheese yet. I still have to do some grocery shopping, believe it or not. Here it is Monday. And so, yeah, that's kind of what we're working on here. So potatoes are up next. Good morning. It's Tuesday now, and I told you yesterday that my whole plan has to be bumped up a day. Guys, shh, 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 shh. Maria's unloading the dishwasher right now, and you know, they always want to drum everything. So,
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Peter. You got to get your morning things done, right? Yes. So I know that I had mentioned yesterday that I was going to be getting the mashed potatoes done. I did not end up getting that done because things just changed. You know, that's how it is, right? And so today I actually have Amber here for a little while, so she's going to start working on peeling and getting the mashed potatoes ready. I did just buy already sliced cheese on just like a little tray, so that's good to go. And then I need to wrap up, and then I need to slice up the sausage. And then I also need to do everything for Wednesday as well, which is to make pies and make stuffing and assemble the cran apple cider. However, for the cran apple cider, I do have to actually make some cranberry juice, some just like straight juice with no sugar. So I've got my work cut out for me. On top of that, there are a number of people hunting. So we've got Warren out hunting, and Nick and his girlfriend, and Emily and Sam and his friend. So they're all out hunting, and at some point they're going to come in and probably want some lunch. So we're going to have to work on that. But I just wanted to show you guys here what I did yesterday is I'm working on that simple syrup, because I really like to make some, you know, just some different beverages. I just had a really quick change of plans. I was thinking of using the cranberries that had been kind of like marinating, so to speak, overnight. I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to use those in like some muffins. I thought that would just be like a nice way to use those up without wasting anything. And I just thought, you know what? Let's just do the sugared cranberries. I've never ever made candied cranberries. I see them all over. They always look so beautiful, of course, so that's what I'm doing. And it seems to be going very, very easily here. Just put a little bit of sugar in here. I'm rolling them around. Put them on here. Now I'm going to let these dry completely. So they may have to sit, you know, for a number of hours before they're totally dry. Because what I found out is that if you do put these in the refrigerator before they're dry, the sugar will actually just kind of like dissolve back into the moisture that's on the cranberry, and then you don't get that sugared appearance. So I'm going to let these dry totally, and then I'll transfer them to the refrigerator. Glad you like it. All right, so as Maria continues to peel up my onion here for the stuffing, I did already dice up the celery, and then I did grab out my bag from the freezer here. This is just like a whole bunch of vegetable scraps that I've been keeping in the freezer. After Thanksgiving, what I'm going to be doing is putting the whole turkey carcass right back into my roaster pan, and I'm going to fill that up with water and all these vegetable scraps and make some really good turkey stock. A couple videos back I did show you all how I make a Thanksgiving and stuffing, or sorry, a turkey and stuffing casserole, and just kind of layer it all up and put it in the oven to bake, and it just really makes the turkey really tasty. Today I'm using that same exact method to make my stuffing here. I just have a stick of butter, and I have a whole bunch of onion. This is one very large onion. And then I have probably a cup or more of celery. Just going to saute this all up, add a whole bunch of seasonings, all the basics, lots of sage, thyme, rosemary. What else is going to go in here? Salt, pepper, and then I'm just going to add in my bread cubes, and I'm going to add in some stock. And that's going to be it. I'm going to put this, I do not stuff my turkey, so I'm going to put all of this into a little casserole dish, set it off to the side, and tomorrow we'll just pop it in the oven and bake it up. Because I like it to get real crunchy around the edge. That's kind of my favorite. For my stock today, I'm just using hot water and Knorr, let me grab it, and Knorr chicken seasoning here. If I had turkey stock on hand, or if I had remembered to buy turkey stock, I would have actually used that, but since I don't have that, I'm just using this quick. This is what I normally use anyway. Sometimes for Thanksgiving, though, I do like to take it up a notch, but I guess not this year. This is actually 4 cups, and I'm going to be using all of these breadcrumbs and then all of those. Okay, so on my menu plan, I have green bean casserole. However, I did forget to actually put that in the lineup of what needs to be done. So since my pie crusts are still frozen, what I'm going to do now is just get the green bean casserole done. So I just picked up 2 bags. I'm actually going to double the recipe here, and I just always use whatever recipe is on either the back of the green beans or on the back of the French fried onions, and it always turns out great. So I'm going to start with 2 quarts of green beans, 2 cans of cream of mushroom soup, 2 cups of milk, a teaspoon of pepper, a dash or 2 of Worcestershire sauce, and then I'm just going to get that all put right into, I'm going to mix it all up and put it into my casserole dish. This was getting very, very aromatic, and I knew that that meant that my onions were done. They're just slightly browning a little bit, and I don't want them to get any browner than that. So what I'm going to do now is mix in just a small amount of my bread cubes. My spices. Broth. Stir that around a bit. I got so excited about the smell of this that I accidentally added too many of the breadcrumbs. Usually I just add that first portion and then I transfer it all to a bowl to add the rest. But I don't know what I was thinking today. So I'm just going to transfer it quick now. I made up a second batch of my chicken stock here, or my chicken seasoning, and I made it a little lighter on the seasoning this time just because I can always add more seasoning if I need to, but I don't want it to get too salty. And the most important part of the whole stuffing is taking a few taste tests and making sure that you have it seasoned properly. I'm just going to add in just a smidge across the top, more of poultry seasoning. Okay, so the green bean casserole is all made up here, and Amber and I were just taste testing here. These are the Great Value French fried onions, and honestly, guys, I think I like, and I think she agreed too, that we like the Aldi brand French fried onions better. These seemed a little bit bland, but anyway, it's still going to taste good. It's going to have to because that's what I have. And okay, I need to saran wrap this up. Nope, those are from Walmart, Peter. And I'm just going to saran this up, get this into the refrigerator until tomorrow. At some point here, Amber is actually going to start doing what?
Peeling potatoes.
Peeling potatoes. So we're going to do 10 pounds of potatoes.
Can I help?
We only have one peeler, but when she's done, you can...
What about the green one?
The green one broke. You can rinse the potatoes, okay?
Okay. How? Mom. Mom.
And you get all of it. I have 2 cups of milk, and then I have just kind of a whole bunch of spices. This is seasoned salt, regular salt, pepper, and onion powder. Mm-hmm. Cool. I'm just going to beat them till they're light and fluffy.
Now it's ready, I think. Mom, did you see it?
Oh. Yeah. And then Alex is July 7th. You know?
Mom, don't finger now.
No, he's a year ahead.
This is hot chocolate.
It was
It was
Okay. Okay.
Apple.
Alright. You good to go? No, here. While someone's standing.
No.
Please.
I gotta get in the chair.
I'll here first.
Oh! Not anymore!
Take your pants. Like, go. Don't cut your feet.
I just saw a rock in my hand into the chair.
No.
Okay, we have boys in the background ganging up on one another, doing whatever it is they do. Anyway, here we go. Here's the cranapple pie. You know, guys, don't be afraid of pies. They're really not that hard to make. And the awesome thing is that once you've made a couple fruit pies, you kind of get the idea that you need a little bit of flour, maybe 1/4 of a cup or so. You need some sugar, a little more or less, depending on what fruit you're using. And then a lot of times you just put a little bit of butter on it and then put a top crust. This one, you don't even need a top crust. I just made up a quick little kind of like crumble out of some brown sugar and flour and oatmeal and butter, and then I just kind of rubbed it all together, you saw, with a fork, and crumbled it over the top. I'm going to bake this. The butter is going to kind of melt out of that little crumble, and it's going to, oh, it's just going to be good. Okay, so sometimes I realize that I do put walnuts in the crumble too, and I forgot to do that, even though I have them right here. And so I'm just going to quick sprinkle a few of those and kind of push them into here. It's going to be just delicious. I'm going to bake this for probably pretty close to an hour, just until everything looks really, really nice and done. The pumpkin pies are over here cooling very nicely. And then look at this. Our farm insurance representative, he brought us 2 pies. So we have, I think he said one was apple cranberry, and I believe one is blueberry cranberry. Once I put this pie in the oven, I'm going to clean things up and we are done. Looking at my list here, oh, I didn't assemble the cran cider. Well, we may just change that up a little bit. I was going to make some unsweetened cranberry juice to add to the apple cider, but I think I'm just going to float a bunch of cranberries in the apple cider and some orange slices and a little bit of cloves and some cinnamon with the apple cider, and that's just going to be really yummy tomorrow. Everything else is done. I will film tomorrow. I'm looking forward to this. We're going to have a group of 13 here. It's going to be just a grand old time. So I hope that you guys are enjoying this. If you are, would you please give it a thumbs up? That tells YouTube that you guys are loving my content, and they spread it around even more and you know, put it in front of more people. So hopefully more people can get inspired to spend some time in the kitchen. All right, you guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Good morning. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Well, not quite. It's actually just our day for celebrating Thanksgiving. It's Wednesday, not Thursday, but this is the day that works for us. So that is what is going down. It is a very exciting day for us. We are going to be celebrating Thanksgiving here. Right now, it's currently just about 8:30 in the morning, and I am, this is the recipe that I just shared. I showed the loaf a while back on a video, and then a few people had asked for the recipe. I did share this on the community tab, so just scroll down to find that, but I am getting that going. I'm actually making a 2-pound batch, so I'm doing double the 1 pound still putting it all in my bread machine, and it's going to be just fine. And I thought originally I was going to do rolls, but I think for ease I'm just going to end up doing this into bread. We will see. So yeah, I'm just getting that ready. Warren just carried in the mashed potatoes for me. I'm going to let this just warm up for a little while before putting it into my crock pot. I have the turkey roasting over here at 325 degrees, and the great thing about using a roaster is that afterwards what I can do is just whatever drippings I don't use for gravy, I can leave in here, and then I'm going to put the neck in here, and then I'm going to put in the whole turkey carcass that's left over. And I am going to let this, I'm going to fill this up with water, and I'm also going to throw in that whole gallon-sized Ziploc bag of veggies that I've been saving in the freezer. I'm going to put that into there, and then of course some salt and pepper and whatever other seasonings I feel like at the time, some parsley, maybe even some garlic, and then I'm just going to let that cook for probably 24 hours or maybe even a little bit longer on a low temperature. And then I'm just going to kind of, and then I'll strain the whole thing and have some really, really delicious turkey stock. So that is the plan, and that's what's nice about using the roaster. Then, you know, and it just doesn't tie up my oven either. So I love having my roaster. It's 9:46 right now, and I'm just working on the coleslaw, and I wanted to show you guys, whenever I make homemade coleslaw dressing, what I always use is, and you can just search it online, it's just basically the Kentucky Fried Chicken copycat recipe, and that is very, very good. I really like that. But when I'm just kind of like in a rush, and actually I just discovered this about a month or two ago, and it was just so good, and so I thought today I'm just gonna quick use this because it just makes really, really easy work. I just got a bag of the tricolor coleslaw, and now I'm just pouring this in, so that's what's happening. I do have some apple cider going here. I have a couple of cinnamon sticks in there, and then just a bunch of cranberries floating on top, and I'm just going to warm that slowly so that as people show up they can have a little mug of that if they'd like. I have 28 minutes left on my bread machine, and then I'm going to be able to get that out and rising. Everything's just moving along like it should. Cute girl hair is always fun to see too, so turn around here, Maria. Amber did Maria's hair, and isn't that just the cutest little like twists and the bows and just the whole thing. It's just super cute. Okay, we're getting ready for a little friendly competition here because, you know, that's going to make Thanksgiving dinner really fun, right? A little competition. So I just made a bracket here. We've got a bracket, and then of course we have a loser's bracket, and we're just going to play Connect Four. So that's kind of how that's going to go. We're just still getting ready for the day.
The big one, the pumpkin, the big one's pumpkin.
Oh, Pete. You guys are so serious. Seriously?
Oh, Bo, you shouldn't have done that. Put it right there.
Stop.
Hey, don't. Come on, Joe.
Hey, don't. Good morning, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Yes,
today is probably Thanksgiving for all of you. Yesterday we celebrated Thanksgiving. Here is just a little bit of leftover aftermath. I did want to show you guys the turkey broth that I have going, this bone broth. I threw the neck in yesterday, and then the carcass is in there, and a whole gallon-sized Ziploc bag of frozen vegetable scraps that I had been saving. So that's in there, and then I filled it right up with water. It's probably not going to go quite 48 hours, but I'm just going to let that cook slowly. I'll end up straining that. Then I'm going to can all of that broth. I'll probably make some turkey soup before that, and whatever is left, I'm going to can. Amber is going to stay in the house here and just kind of wash up leftover dishes that couldn't go in the dishwasher. And the rest of us are going to go out and start cutting up deer. So
Peter's going to cut up deer?
Peter's going to cut up deer too, yep. A little bit about our plans for today. We are just going to head out and cut up deer. Warren's actually getting that all started. If you guys have not seen that video, I will link to it in the description box below. We just kind of go through, I guess, pretty detailed of how we cut up our deer and package it up, and you know, the tools that we use and things like that. So yeah, if that's your kind of thing, you can definitely go check that out. And then our Connect 4 tournament yesterday, I know that you guys are all going to be wondering who won. Actually, believe it or not, Peter won. We had a few major upsets yesterday. I think probably a pretty major upset was when Peter beat Amber. I think that was a major upset. And when Sam beat me, I think both of us kind of thought that we were going to be the winners in those games, but we weren't, and Peter ended up being the overall winner. So that was a fun time and such a great game because you can play it no matter what. We even managed to get Joe in on it, and he wasn't thrilled, but we got him to put those checkers in the spots. So anyway, he did that, and just wanted to share that with you guys all too. Here's the aftermath, some more of it, and yeah, that's just, I guess, the sign of a fun day. So I hope you guys all have a fantastic day. I hope you enjoyed this video, and although you are going to see this after Thanksgiving here, you know, lots of these different things and different ideas can be put to use for planning up Christmas or planning up a New Year's celebration or whatever it might be. So you guys have a fantastic day.